Chelsea. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing a fancy booktube hat. And today I'm doing a kind of unusual sort of book haul. Now, I have not done a November book haul, and I am not going to do a November book haul because somewhere around mid-November, I tend to switch into a completely different book buying mode that lasts well into mid-December about now. And that mode is gift book buying, where I'm not buying books for myself, really. I am buying books for other people en masse. I scored a lot of Black Friday online shopping book deals this year for my gift buying, and since then I've been supplementing those with a few other specific things that I want to give to specific people. And now, as of today when I'm filming this, my last book gift orders have come in. I'm going to start wrapping and packing these up tonight and sending them out in the mail tomorrow morning, hopefully. Cross my fingers. So what I wanted to do before shipping these off into the great unknown is to do a little sort of book gift haul video of all of the books that I have purchased in the last month that I am going to be giving to people for the holidays this year. So if you know that you're someone who is on my regular holiday gift giving list and you suspect that I might be giving you books this year, you might want to skip this video because you might be spoiled. I am not, however, going to say who is getting which books in this haul, so if you want to take your chances, go ahead. Earlier this evening I had all of these books spread out in piles on the floor by person, and then I put a sticky note on each stack saying who that stack was going to and which books were in it, and then I took them all back and shuffled them back up into stacks by book because I'm giving multiple copies of the same book a lot of times to different people this year. So I'm going to go through these from most copies I am giving to least copies I am giving. I'm not going to talk in detail about each of these books because these are all books that I have read already, and they are all books that I have discussed in varying amounts of detail elsewhere on this channel over the past year. So each of these books that I list, I'm going to link in the description under the title of the book, the video where I talked about it. So by far and away, the winner of most copies of the same book that I am giving to people for gifts this year during the holiday season is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherynne and Valente. There are very few people I can think of to whom I would not recommend this book, and so the number of copies I am giving away this year is limited not by how many people I know who I think would like this book, but by how many copies I was able to get my hands on at a discount price. Now, I have 11 copies of this book here. 10 of them I actually bought several months back from a book outlet when they got a big shipment in, and I already knew I was going to want to give this book en masse for the holidays, so I bought 10 of them at once when I saw they were in stock, and I am glad I did because they have not been reliably in stock on Book Outlet since then. If you're wondering where Book Outlet's big shipment of these that they got in several months ago went, this is where they went. I got them all. In addition, I was looking for extra copies for bargain prices, and I found this one to bring my total tally up to 11. This is, I think, a used copy, but it's in very good condition. It's a slightly smaller physical size than my Book Outlet copies of this book, but I think the person I'm giving it to won't know and won't care. So that was stack number 1 of books that I had here, all the same book. Stack number 2 is comprised of all books of which I am giving away 2 copies. The first is the obvious follow-on to book number 1, that is the girl who fell beneath Fairyland and led the Revels there. This is the second book in the Fairyland series by Catherynne and Valente, of which the girl who circumnavigated Fairyland in a ship of her own making is the first. So 2 lucky people on my list will be getting not only the first book in the series, but also the second book in the series. 2 people on my holiday gift shopping list will also be getting Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a slender volume, and so it's a nice way for me to round out a gift that I want to be more than 1 book without making it too bulky. Now, I did not do all of my online book shopping at Book Outlet. I did place an order as well from Book Depository for a couple of books where I really wanted to specifically give people the UK editions of the book as opposed to the American edition. And one of these books is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I have mentioned on my channel before that I am really not fond of the American cover art for this book. I think the UK cover design is about 10 times prettier. The UK edition was also considerably cheaper than I would have been able to get the American edition for just about anywhere. So for me, this was a no-brainer for the 2 people on my shopping list who I think absolutely must read this book. The next book that I'm giving away 2 copies of is Chalice by Robin McKinley. This is the paperback edition with a different cover design from the hardcover, and this is also the design that the mass market paperback has. And I'm not sure that I have a preference between the 2, but these are the same book. The next book that I am giving to 2 people on my holiday shopping list is Brat, Farrar by Josephine. This may be the only book I am giving to people for the holidays this year that is not SFF in any way, shape, or form. That's not necessarily so much a reflection of the people on my list and what they read, though there are a lot of SFF loving readers on my holiday list. It's a little bit more a reflection of what I've been reading lately and what I feel that I can wholeheartedly recommend. But this is not SFF, this is a vintagey classic mystery novel, and I'm giving it to 2 people to whom I want to give something that is not sci-fi or fantasy. Interestingly, this is a book that I only ever read because someone gave it to me for Christmas a couple years ago, so I am passing on the gifty book love. And the final book that I am giving 2 copies of to friends this holiday season is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I know a couple of people who might want to get hooked on an addictive YA series, and so I'm giving them both this book. So last but not least, I am going to run through stack number 3 of books. These are all the books that I am only giving to 1 person on my shopping list this holiday season. First, we have 2 books that go together and they're going to the same person. This is The Philosopher, Kings and Necessity, books 2 and 3 in the Thessaly trilogy by Jo Walton. I am giving these to someone who has already read The Just City, the first in that trilogy, and liked it, so I'm following up that gift from a while back with the second 2 in the series. The next is the other book from that international UK edition Book Depository order I mentioned, and that is the UK edition of Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I like this cover design for these UK editions a little better than the American cover design, and like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, this UK edition of this book on Book Depository was also less expensive, so it was a no-brainer for me to get this edition from Book Depository for the person whom I want to give this to. Although I am going to have to tell them that if they're looking for the sequels to this book in this country, they're going to look different. Next, I am giving 1 person on my shopping list Bitter Greens by Kate Forsyth. I did a full review of this one actually a few months ago, and I will link that full review. And then the next book I have here is a copy of The Search for WondLa by DiTerlizzi. I am giving this actually to a family with a child. I think that both mother and son will really like this book. They both like fun sci-fi. Next, I have one copy of The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett. I was shuffling this around in terms of who I thought I was going to give this to. I wanted to make sure everyone was getting the right number of books that I wanted to give that person, and this sort of is a similar-ish book in terms of emotional notes for me to the Fairyland series, so I wanted to try to figure out who I was giving this one to instead of that one. But I figured it out. It's all right now. Next, I've got one copy of Sunshine by Robin McKinley. So this is the second Robin McKinley book in this haul video. I previously mentioned that I'm giving two people copies of Chalice. Interestingly, Sunshine and Chalice are two books that I think are very similar stories in some ways, but in such different settings and styles that I would hardly ever recommend them to the same person. Next, I've got one copy of A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I know someone who is going to like this, I am pretty sure. And one copy of All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders, which is, I think, always a little bit of a gamble because this is an odd enough book that it's a bit of a toss-up if any given person is going to like this, but I have quirky fun friends and I think I know someone for whom this is a pretty good bet. Okay, I'm not going to try to hold all of those up for a thumbnail shot or anything. I'm not gonna try to, that would just be a disaster. But that is all of the books that I am giving to people for the holidays this year, heading out into the mail starting tomorrow morning. Eep. The time is upon us. Anyhow, happy holidays. Let me know if there are books that you are giving to people for the holidays this year. I'd always be curious to hear. Anyhow, that is all. Bye for now.